once again. We'll start with you, ESM. State your name, industry you work in, titles if you have them.
E. Scott Morris. Good afternoon, everybody. And I am, say again? Chicago. Oh, that's right. You got it. That's where I grew up. Gosh, been in the footwear industry 32 years. Footwear designer by trade, just designer by life. Former Marine, because you never get out of it. You just stick with it. Michigan State grad, class of 1989. And I am the chair of footwear for Pensole. Yeah.
Melissa.
I'm Malisa.
Malisa.
That's
Thank
okay.
you, Malisa.
You know, when your mom names you, they
better
do
hit that
on,
right. Yes, properly.
You know, as black folks, we do that on purpose to people. I am the senior vice president of category management for Miller Knoll. And so I'll start with this, and so I hope this doesn't, all the creatives don't move away from me. I love math. I love math. And so I'll start with that and say math is at the center of everything that I do. And I spend almost 90% of my time with creatives. So I spend most of my time thinking about insights with product, how we bring it to life, how we work with our end user customers, how it's going to solve problems. And then my other customers are all our designers and creators and so forth, making sure that they have the tools and the cash that they need to help our customers. So that's what I do.
Thank you, Melissa. Lauren.
Hi, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. It's been an incredibly inspiring day. I am Lauren Guthrie. I lead Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Action for VF Corporation and also Global Talent Development. VF Corporation is a home to 12 big global brands. Hopefully you've heard of Vans, Timberland, The North Face, Supreme, et cetera. And have been doing this work of really elevating inclusion and belonging across associate experience, consumer experience, society, and movements for the past 2 years. So this has been a recent shift for me. Prior to that, my entire background was in merchandising and product development. So this space is near and dear to me. Really excited to be part of this incredible panel. And with that, I will hand it over.
Damien.
Thank you. Peace, everybody. Nice to meet you. My name is Damien Hooper-Campbell. I have the supreme honor of being StockX's first Chief Impact Officer. StockX was founded here. For anybody who, like me, may not be from here, or even if you're from here and don't realize, StockX was founded like 10 minutes away from here, and we're proud that Detroit is home, though we're a global company. As Chief Impact Officer, I have the responsibility internally for diversity, equity, and inclusion, externally for community giving and community engagement, and then also for what we call ESG, or environmental, social impact, and governance, which is just a fancy word for taking care of our environment, looking after our folks, and making sure things are right from a regulation standpoint. And then just really quickly, prior to this, I was the first Chief Diversity Officer for Zoom. Before that, first Chief Diversity Officer at eBay, and same role at Uber, and then a background in finance and academia. So very happy to be here with y'all and with my colleagues here on this panel.
Thank you so much. So one of the things that I know we discussed briefly in the back is the diversity of our experiences and the uniqueness of our journeys, the interests, the variety of the interests, math. Oh, we're going to talk about that. Yes, for sure. And I want to start off with something to just get you in the mood for conversation. And I want to ask a simple question. What's giving you hope today? Anyone that wants to start off? Lauren, you're looking at me like there was like intense eyes. So what's giving you hope today?
Yeah, easy answer for me, my children. I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. And their tenacity, their clarity of self, their willingness to be part of solutions, their eagerness to contribute to this world is everything I want to harness and keep. I don't think it's naivete, I think it's strength. And so I learn from them every day and have hope for the future based on the incredible gifts that they're giving to the world, even at such a young age.
That's wonderful. Where do you live?
I live in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, 5 points.
Yeah.
I know about Denver.
Yeah.
We could talk. Yes, math,
Please.
Denver. We're doing that. You know, I was in military intelligence. You see, I was black Jason Bourne back in the day. So I'm just collecting my dossier. And East guy's like co-signing. Yes, he was. Yes. So Malisa, what's giving you hope today?
You know what is? I think the world, because of technology, is so open, and so many folks, their voices can be heard. There's so many platforms. There's so many ways that people can hear your message. And not all messages are good, but there were times when to scale, to get your message across the world was really, really tough. And I think it's powerful. I mean, I have some kids. I have 7-year-old, 5-year-old little girls, right? And they're going to be YouTubers the minute we let them post. We don't let them post just yet. But in their minds, right, what they have to say is really, really important. And they have a firm belief that they can put it out there and people are going to listen. You know, growing up as a kid, you were to be seen and not heard. And so I just love that evolution. That is to me evolution, revolutionary. That these little girls know that, you know, their voices are important and can be heard. There's just something so amazing about that.
And we had a panel, the L word, which was really powerful, right? And so, I mean, they could be the next group up here, right? Is being and expressing that and knowing that they have permission to express themselves.
Well, I think with the Sheroes, look, that was beyond, I don't know what I was expecting, but it had me in stone cold silence, just watching this cyclical thing that those ladies are doing. And then, you know, the VP of product design at Allbirds, I just said, hey, I really want to talk to you after this a little bit. As we try to fund our kids someday to go to college, it's going out the door to Allbirds, and I just want to tell her, stop making those products so nice. I got to put my kids through school, and we're spending all the money on the Allbirds. But it's just so inspirational. It's just so inspirational to see that and think about how you pay it forward. But it starts when you're a little kid, right? If you have great role models at home, my grandmother was awesome. Like, more people, put some more soup. Put some more water in the soup, right? You put some more neck bones. Neck bones were cheap at that time. And it's amazing to see that, right? In such a sophisticated way today. And so super, super impressive. And I know their journey wasn't easy. And they're still on it. And super excited, like, gosh, we're going to get to be a part of helping extend that in any way we can. So it's just amazing. So I just went off on a trail.
You did? No, you didn't.
I
Because
went off on a
we
trail.
at the kitchen table, you said neck bones.
Yep.
We good.
Hey,
This is
and we
appropriate.
ain't had lunch
Beef
yet.
neck bones.
Hungry.
Beef
Right,
neck bones.
yes.
My father was some beef neck bones. All right.
It's good. It's good. In case somebody was like recording that, and just in case. Yes, Damien, what's giving you hope today?
Yeah, I appreciate this question, and let me preface it by saying there's a lot of madness going on in the world. So love to anybody in here who may be watching this in person or later for anything you may be going through. Love to you. Hate is giving me hope. So if you think about a pendulum, right? A pendulum is only going to go so far. And it's going to swing to such an egregious and extreme end that at some point, it got to come back. And whether it was through unforeseen catalysts like COVID that made all of our behinds slow down and actually pay attention to our parents, to our kids, to our pets. In some cases, like, we realized the relationship we in wasn't the one because we had to spend so much damn time with this person all of a sudden.
Facts.
And we're like, oh,
Facts.
this ain't it. But that in and of itself is beautiful. And as I look at whether it's politics, whether it's violence, things are happening now, and then you add in the technology where we're being hit with it so much. At one point, I was worried we were becoming desensitized as a society. Now, I'm starting to see reactions in the comments on Insta. I'm starting to see reactions in conversations where people are like, yo, that's crazy. Even people who were sitting on this side of the aisle are looking at people on their side of the aisle and being like, yo, fam, that's crazy. You're bugging. And so Unfortunately, it takes crisis sometimes for us to see each other as human beings. But I prefer that out of this crisis comes something really positive, and we're starting to see flickers of positivity of people getting in their right minds because they're seeing people out of their right minds. And I hope that that's something that we'll hang on to, we'll learn from it, and ride that as a more consistent wave over time.
And I think one of the wonderful outcomes of that mindset and your thinking is that just belief that we will swing back. Right. And I've said that the pandemic, there was power in the pause. Yeah. Right? There was power in the pause, and we all were forced to pause, and it was a global traumatic event.
Yes.
So you could talk to anyone, anywhere in the world, and you're talking about the same topic. It was really fascinating, and so I think we all were collectively going through something together, and we all were finding a way to get through that together, and so I think you're spot on about that. And when we talk about, this kitchen table and empathy, I think that is something that really drew everyone together, and humanity had to pause, right? And had no choice, and got nowhere to go and got nowhere to be, and you better get happy with yourself. And a lot of people met themselves for the first time too, right? Yes, they did. Right? ESM, what's giving you hope?
All right, so I got three things. The first one is change. I have never seen so much change in everything for the good, right? I watch people say, I'm not doing that job no more. I'm not putting up with that, and they made a change, right? The second one is chance. I watched more people during the pandemic and now in the post-present pandemic, I watch people take chances that years ago they would have never taken. They're like, man, I'm going across the country. I'm going around the other side of the world. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And watching it work, probably the third thing was choice. That's probably the thing I like the most. Because now we live in a world, if you have a particular set of skills, you get to choose what you want to do. And if you don't like what's being presented, you can say, thank you, I'm gonna go the other way. But if I took those three and I kind of pulled them down to the lowest common denominator, it'd probably be faith. Just simply believing. Believing in people, possibilities, opportunities. We've heard it today in multiple facets. People saying, you know what, don't give up, don't quit. We can say it, but living it is a hard thing to deal with. But I will say this, if you have that internal detail that you can, like you said, the energy, you can feel it still buzzing. It was like, I'm not out the game yet. I'm not out yet. Use it. Use what you have. I know Jason Maiden's up there. We were laughing last night talking about forming Voltron if we have to, right? That's another story for another time. But what I'm getting at is sometimes you got to align with other people. They get you fired up and be like, man, I know you can do it. Girl, I know you can do it. And that faith and belief that you can.
And I think, first of all, alliteration. I'm always about some alliteration. So change, chance, and choice. I think there's something powerful about that. But each of you actually shared something that I think will be really inspiring to the next gen and the folks in the room here, right? The idea of your kids wanting to have this opportunity, recognizing the technology as offering a platform for them to raise their voice, the notion that they don't have to succumb to hate, they can elevate hope, and they can take a chance, they can make a change, and they have a choice. Facts on facts on facts, right? So the more that you all, are you hearing what we're saying here?
Intelligence.
So one of the things I think is, yeah, I know, that was it on display, my Blackborn right there, yes. So the thing that I think is so important for all of you is as you hear our esteemed panelists share their insights, is to take what you need from this conversation. There will be a morsel of motivation that you need specifically. Be present and take that. And one of the things that you all were sharing is all this wonderful wisdom, but wouldn't it have been amazing if you had it when you were a kid? Oh my gosh. Right?
Yeah.
So if you were going to write a letter to your younger self based on your journey, this amazing, eclectic, haphazard twists and turns, what would be that cheat code? What would be that unlock that you would want to give yourself or to the next gen right? Or to Lauren or Malisa's kids or somebody that, hey, I'm gonna put you on and here's what I'm gonna share with you, or this audience? What would you wanna share? What would that story be, Damien?
Yeah, it's funny when you said, don't you wish you had had all of this back then? Intuitively, I said yes. Then I was like, I'm sure people told me all this back then. And I'm sure I was like, nah, B, I got this. So there's part of me that says yes. So maybe what I wish I'd had is more maturity earlier. But then at the same time, I'm just a believer in the divine nature of things. Like, there are certain bumps that I went through that got me right to this stage right here. And sure, I have regrets. We all do. I'm not going to front. But like, I'm happy I bumped my head a couple of times. I'm happy I didn't go down this door and I went down this other one that introduced me to people and opportunities. So maybe the thing that I would say to myself, honestly, which is agnostic of industry, is like to take better care of myself. I know that seems really basic, but like, I'm 43. You hit like 30 plus, things start like,
Man,
aching,
you better tell
like,
somebody.
You got to put some, what's it called, WD-40 on your knees and stuff.
Yes.
And like, the best thing to keep you good for your kids, for your spouse, for your parents who are, and loved ones who are depending on you, and for your career, whatever you decide to do, is to be right, like mind, body, and spirit. And so I mean it holistically, as I wish that there were practices around Buddhism and Christianity that I had adopted earlier in my life. I wish exercise had been a thing earlier in my life, and I wish that I had just been maybe more consistent and committed to it.
And I think that's so spot on, because I spoke about energy earlier and the importance of energy and how it's your social currency. And if you had more knowledge, but you had to go through what you went through. So that's also, you know, my nana would say a hard head make for a soft behind, right? You're gonna be hard-headed, you're gonna get tenderized a few times, right? But you're gonna learn, right? And so I think you needed to go through the things you went through for you to appreciate where you're at now. I love that, I love that. Lauren.
Yeah, a few things. I think every experience is a gift. And for me, I think as a child, I was taught to achieve. That means failure is wrong, bad, right? Similar to what you're saying. But every no is an opportunity to learn, to finesse your vision, to assess your skills, to assess the path. Success is not a highway, it's a journey. And so I would encourage myself to lean into, or to be open to the yeses. You know, I was a history major in college. I don't know what thought I was gonna do with that degree, but it certainly isn't the work that I'm doing now. And I sit in this seat because I focused on building skills, I focused on learning from experiences, and I was open to evolution. Open to say yes to the gifts that were put in front of me, and not to lament the no's, but to take that time to reassess. And we've heard a lot about the term authenticity today, and I think it's a really important notion, but sometimes it can be a trap. It can keep us caught in the story of ourselves versus being honest and open to the moments that come, and being everything that you are in that moment, and using that moment as a catalyzing force forward, versus where did I think I needed to be, or what did I think I wanted to be. And so I just encourage all of you, and if I could go back and talk to my younger self, it would be to say, be open. Be open to changing, to evolving, to growing, and seize the moments that come for what they are. And I'm excited to see what happens in the next stage in my career. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, right? And so we'll see what happens tomorrow, but I'm committed to where I am today and continuing to grow and evolve.
I love that. And you got that Serena thing going. You evolving. We ain't retiring. We evolving. Yes. And there's a beautiful quote, ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better. Right? And so that's all that is, right? Is that's the way that you learn, is by skinning your knees, right? And failing forward. And so I think there's something really magical about that intention and that attitude and that mindset and that courage. Absolutely. E. Scott Morris.
All right. Probably one of my favorite things I would have told myself is it's gonna be okay to live in the fantasy of reality. Now that sounds kind of crazy.
No, say that again.
It would be okay to tell myself, dude, it's okay to live in the fantasy of reality. And what I mean by that is everybody knows that they can make the perfect shot, that you could flick the penny across the room and it would go perfectly into the slot or the quarter to get what you wanted, right? That you could make the impossible shot, that you could jump over the car, and you know what? Do what no one thought you could do. Nobody said that to me. I just started doing it. And by the time I started doing it, it started hitting me, I can do all this stuff. That means I'm a superhero. No, right? And I did my own stunts until about 5 years ago. But what I mean by that is this. It goes back to the chance. Take the chance. Do what you think is impossible because it's going to be okay. You heard people say, yeah, fail fast. Yeah. Then if you're going to fail, man, make it a full-on awesome production. Like go off the meter. Be like, man, he went off the meter. He's crazy, right? But they're going to remember you. Even if they say, no, we don't want you. Which goes to my next one, which is my grandmother used to say it, and I didn't grab it, and now I got it. She used to always say, see that word no? I said, yeah. She goes, now put a T and a Y-E-T next to it. I said, what does that mean? She said, not yet, baby, not yet. You're going to get your turn. You're going to get your turn. So when somebody tell you no, I just smile and be like, not yet, right? And just be like, all right, I'll get my moment. And so those are my two.
I love that. I love that. And the idea of not yet, right? And that's that whole idea I've been saying, nothing's microwavable. Success is not microwavable. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to trust and believe hard work never goes unrewarded.
So true. Very
Malisa.
true.
So I'm gonna go full circle. I'm gonna go back. The reason why I said I love math is because there was a time in my life that I knew I loved math, but I was a kid. I lived on the 6th floor in housing projects, and then little black girls didn't love math, right? We loved a lot of things. We liked to double dutch. We liked to do all those types of things, right? And you know, I grew up in a period of time where it was we lived Black Panthers. My parents grew up around that, and it was all around social justice. So I was gonna be a prison warden, right? And I put math in the closet, and I did math. I pull it out, I do it. I'd solve problems that way, but I never really was open and said, that's what I really love to do, right? And then having a clear understanding of math isn't just math. Math does a lot of things. It's behind a lot of things that we do that are good. So I would go back to my younger self and say, do what you love. And if you have talent at it, wow, the world has all types of room for you. And I would just go back and just do math and understand what math could do. And so it's like I'm coming out of the class. I'm not in love with all types of math, right? I'm in love with formulas and some of those things. So I would say do what you love to do. Also, don't do what people tell you to do, right? What they think you should love, even if it's their love. And so I would just go back and tell myself, like, just do what you love, because one day you can make it a profession. It's part of my profession. I absolutely have the best job in the world. I try to keep it a secret because there's going to be somebody that's going to try to steal my job. But I have the best job in the world, right? And it centers around something that is foundational that I'm pretty good at.
I love the fact that you said, do what you love. And it's so important to be celebrated for that too. That's the other piece that we need. We need that affirmation from someone that they see you. We need to feel seen. And had someone maybe intervened, but you also had to have courage to show that you were into numbers that way, maybe there was someone that would have maybe stepped in, but we wouldn't have you right now. So to your point, right, you had to go through the things, like Damien said, you had to go through the things so that we have you right here. And you love your job, and you do exceptional work, right? And everyone is benefiting from it. And you still, I know you pulling out a problem or two, and you, like even the clock, I'm doing this math thing, right? I know you're doing that still, right? Facts. Yes. So one of the things that I know about this audience here is we've been sharing, wonderful morsel of advice and insight. But if there was that one special piece of advice that you would offer this audience, because we've been already doing each one, teach one, and sharing that, but I want to make sure they take away something that you think is that unlock, would be that wayfinder, would be that cheat code for them. What might that be? So Lauren, would you share that little bit of morsel of wisdom or insight. So now you're doing your Morgan Freeman moment. So
No pressure.
yes.
I think I'll lean on a quote from one of our amazing partners, the CEO of Outdoor Afro. Her name is Rue Mapp. And she says that change moves at the pace of relationships. And I think it's so important to think about that, especially to your point around the times that we find ourselves in. And I think, celebrating the theme of this panel, empathy is so critical to honest, transparent, transformational relationships. And I truly believe that change, whether that's your next step in your career or for many of us, our work isn't just about producing product, it's about changing lives. It's about changing systems to support how we elevate lives. And so being able to think about the quality and the intentionality of your relationships to not only pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but those around you and behind you, and honoring those that came before you is really important. So I encourage all of you to think as strategically about your relationships as you do about your actions. Inevitably, they are connected, and that's the path to holistic communal success.
I love that. I've always said that your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. And so the relationships, and stop trying to be so transactional with people. Be transformational with people. Yeah. Build. Right? But we always, how can you put me on? What can you do for me? And it's not about that. It's much more than that. E. Scott Morris.
Wow. All right. So this one is coming from one of my favorite people who is now interviewing God on an extended basis, my dad. I used to always notice he would do things completely out of order, but he would find a way to get it done. Here's the cheat code. Don't conform until you have to comply. Does that make sense? I'm gonna say it one more time. Don't conform until you have to comply, meaning go outside the lines, bend every single rule so you can do what you wanna do, and only get reeled in when they say you're breaking the law. Then, all right, I'll stop now. But until then, man, wire it so that you can become almost untouchable and yet tangible. They can get you, but they can't get you. That's when you know you got them. So I'm gonna stop there.
I love that. And you, oh, Malisa, you got she sat up when you said that, oh, that is me. Like, what happened? Like,
I love math. I'm a rule breaker, not a rule follower. I think, so just really quickly, I'm gonna tell you guys real quick, all the jobs that I've had. Ooh, I've been a juvenile probation officer. I've been a professional basketball player. I've been leading giant sales organization, distribution organizations. I've been a product manager. I even worked at Head Start. That didn't go so well. But what I would say to that is simply take the risk that will take you somewhere new.
Can you say that again?
Take the risk that will take you somewhere new.
Say less. Come on now. Wow. That's what he got you, and then you dropped that pearl. Yep.
That is it.
All right, so I've got a 1-year-old daughter. It's my first time being a parent, and her name is Love. And I take that real serious. I'm not always the best lover as a human being. I'm working on it all day. But this whole thing around empathy, just really quick, if you're able, how many of you today at any point have thought about whether or not the entrances that you've been coming into, in and out of all day are wheelchair accessible? How many people actually thought about it?
I didn't think about it.
Okay, look around. Just look around. It's not because you're bad people that you didn't think about it. It's because most of us maybe have never used a wheelchair, have never been proximate to somebody who uses a wheelchair. So my advice to you, grounded in love and grounded in empathy, is, one, proactively seek out other communities that you're not familiar with and get to know them. I don't care who it is. We all have biases towards other communities. We do. Break those down by getting to know people and understanding their experiences. And then the other part of that is just simply, as this world continues to pump things into our heads that make us, that force us to retreat to our own tribes, think of an alternative reality where maybe just like you grew up hearing things at the dinner table, other people grew up hearing things at the dinner table, and none of that will change until you all walk in each other's shoes. And so really love and empathy, but you owning that is the cheat code that I think will help in anything that you do.
Thank you so much. And I think, you know, a beautiful thing about our stories matter, and people need to believe our stories, right? Because those are our lived experiences, and that's the way that we start to understand. So living in someone else's, it's not about their shoes, it's believing that they're in those shoes, right? And belonging is our key thing. And so I'll leave you all with this wonderful quote from James Baldwin. You have to decide who you are and force the world to deal with you, not with its idea of you. And if we show up authentically and genuinely as we are in our full and glorious way, then my gosh, we got a fighting chance, don't we?
Yes, we
Please
do.
put your hands together for my amazing panel, ESM, Malisa, Lauren, and Damien. Thank you for your time and attention. Be well, Godspeed.
And give it up for Kevin. Give it up for Kevin.
How about that? Katalyst.
Yes.